Okay, let's get underway with Liverpool's much-needed victory after 4 straight Premier League defeats against Aston Villa. 2-0 at Anfield, and the Sunday Mirror goes with "That's Mo like it." Andy Dunn was also at Anfield yesterday. He says it's an old chestnut, but it's more than an element of truth about it. Form is temporary, class is permanent. Losing 4 Premier League games on the spin after winning 5 on the spin is not a crisis, it's a slump. But the C word was being bandied around Liverpool following those defeats, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it's fair to say Liverpool were in a minor crisis. There seemed to be a very direct route to beating this Liverpool team, as you saw in Crystal Palace's victory in the league and then Manchester United's victory, in that if you can stay compact and attack the spaces behind the fullbacks in particular, you could profit. The fullback reconfiguration is a big thing for Liverpool at this point in time. It's not just the fact they've lost Trent Alexander-Arnold and he's been so important to how they progress the ball, particularly in midfield areas, but also the fact that Robinson perhaps hasn't got the same ability to last 90 minutes in the way that he used to. So that left-back situation's needed some reconfiguration. I think Kirkes and his connection with Virgil van Dijk they're having some pronounced teething problems there. So it's no surprise that for this victory, Slot's gone back to basics. It's Robertson on the left-hand side. It's Bradley on the right-hand side. It's players that know each other quite well. If you look in the midfield as well, Alexis McAllister had a hernia towards the end of last season, and I think when he gets closer to full fitness and full match sharpness, that should solidify central midfield there too. So I don't want to say Liverpool are going to be right up there in the title race, but there's definitely ways for them to grow and develop, and I think they'll probably be fine by, let's say, Valentine's Day.
Dominic, you were at that game. The shocking run is over. Turning point for Liverpool, or do they still have a few issues to resolve there?
Oh, I think if you read Mail on Sunday today, and the final paragraph says, "Are they back?" No. It's a step in the right direction. It was needed last night just to settle nerves, restore a little bit of order, and they looked much more like last season. There was control, there was discipline. They attacked, they sort of attacked in flurries, like that was reminiscent of the around about this time last year when they really hit a rhythm, and it was a much needed step in the right direction.
Charlie, Dom mentions the reference to last season. I'm going to refer to your piece here, actually.
Very kind of you.
Dom, it says here was an exorcism of Wednesday's League Cup elimination against Crystal Palace when Slot's team selection had put him under the microscope. Looking at his team selection yesterday at Anfield, Hugo Ekitike was the only summer signing that started that game against Aston Villa, almost reverting back to what was working for Arne Slot and Liverpool last season. A bit of method in his team selection yesterday, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was always inevitable that, having made so many signings, they weren't all going to work. And obviously, I think Slot would have hoped that it wouldn't have just been Ekitike that made an impression. But Liverpool did make too many changes, didn't they? Some of them obviously out of their hands. But just looking at that squad, I know people talk about, obviously there was the tragedy with Jota, and then they let Diaz go, they sold Nunez, Alexander-Arnold, but then I thought there were sort of needless changes, like even Quansah, Harvey Elliott, even Kelleher leaving. These were all winners, players that have been involved in a title-winning squad. So it was a sort of the players behind the scenes as well, or those not in the first team that they allowed to leave. So it was a huge turnaround. So I think it'd been even more of a surprise, and it'd been quite extraordinary had Liverpool been right up there with Arsenal now because of the amount of new players. They brought in some brilliant players, and the majority I think will do well, but they're not all going to do well, and they haven't all done well. So I think Liverpool fans are going to need a bit of patience, and I think they've got that, but obviously there's a lot of work to do still.
Carl,
we've all looked at Salah's stats, and obviously you're comparing his run now to his incredible record the rest of the time. Would you agree that Van Dijk's drop off has just been the same, but we focus on that less for obvious reasons?
Yeah, and I also think as well that the one issue that isn't getting looked at enough is what happens when Alisson Becker's not there.
Yeah.
he is just as important as Van Dijk and Salah. In my eyes, he's the best goalkeeper that's ever played in the Premier League. I've said it before. I'll get more.
Big claim.
He is. He's absolutely extraordinary. And I say this from having spoken to people who've worked closely with him. The first training session that he ever did with Liverpool was in Evian in France in 2018, and the keepers were doing a drill. Sort of somebody's on the penalty shot, the spot, kick, shots into the goal up quickly and whatever. And when it was finished, the people who were watching the session turned and looked at each other and said, "Have we really just seen what he was doing? The speed that he was moving between the goal." And that's why he makes things look easy, because he's that quick. He gets into situations where he just sort of plucks the ball that other goalkeepers would be diving for. He'll be contributing to 10 points, 12 points a season for Liverpool with us.
If we look at Mo Salah, I suppose he was a microcosm of everything that was going wrong at Liverpool. Liverpool's form wasn't great. Mo Salah's form wasn't great. He seemed to come back to some semblance of what we expect from Mohamed Salah yesterday. 250 goals as well, which is an incredible achievement for Mo Salah. What have you made of him, and how much has he been impacted with these new signings that have come in over the summer?
I think he was quite revealing in his post-match comments last night when he recognised how his form had dropped. But you've just said the number 250 there, and people are almost like looking at, oh yeah, it's 250 goals. He mentioned it to Arne Slot last night, and he was sort of wide-eyed in wonderment as he was talking. He could not believe that he's got to 250 goals. This is a remarkable achievement. This is up there, like, kind of with Alan Shearer getting 260 Premier League goals.
Third player to do it for Liverpool.
Yeah. So he's gone past. So he's only got Ian Rush and Roger Hunt ahead of him. And the names that he's gone past in recent years, they were like comic book heroes. Billy Liddell, Gordon Hodgson, names that were just like on pieces of paper that you thought you never seen them play. They were just these historical figures that were like, wow, these numbers are going to stand the test of time. And Mo Salah's got there in 8 years. Unbelievable in terms of what he's done. But he's had a bit of a dip this season. He's a fabulous player. He's had dips before. A bit was made about how he walked off the pitch quite quickly in Frankfurt. He's done that plenty of times down in recent years. Anybody who's watched him knows that if it's not going right for him, he's moody. That's just who he is. He wants to be the best all the time. But it's been quite interesting, like, sort of the last month. And yes, the form has been bad. Some of the performances have been naive. I thought the games at Brentford, Chelsea, Manchester United were alarming in some respects in terms of how they threw points away. But the noise that's sort of been on social media, and you sort of get drawn into this world, and you're thinking, is this the real world? And you're hearing, oh, Slot's a phony, Slot's got to go, he's not good enough, we're really missing Luis Diaz, we're really missing Darwin Núñez. 5 months ago, these same people were saying, oh, can't wait to get rid of them, we're going to get Florian Wirtz, we're going to get this, that and the other. Just calm down. It's been a summer of change. It's been a summer of incredible trauma, and Arne Slot has been negotiating his way through all this, and he will get things right. He will get things moving in the right direction.
Charlie, Dominic mentioned it before about living in this social media world when one defeat or two defeats or three or even four in the case of Liverpool is a crisis, or is a mini crisis, as Carl mentioned there. There was all sorts of talk starting to appear about Arne Slot's future. I mean, is that just the world we live in, or was there some substance to maybe thinking, is he actually going to be the right guy for Liverpool?
No, I don't think there's any substance that he wouldn't be the right guy. But look, it's inevitable. If you're a team like Liverpool and, you know, you're as good as they were last year, certainly much better than everybody else, and then you lose 4 games in a row, you know, it's not just social media. There were people ringing in. There were the blokes down the pub talking about Slot and the issues there. So I think that's inevitable, and that would happen with any other team as well that's just won the title. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
Yeah, but I think it was very, very revealing last night that I think it was in the 23rd minute, the cops sang his name, and you can actually feel the difference at the ground in terms of the patience that was being shown for the team and the reaction to over the last month when things haven't been great. There's a bit more sort of being circumspect and controlled.
It's always the match-going fans versus social media in a way.
Look, I'm not saying social media fans are not valid. Everybody has an opinion, but you sometimes need to think about what you speak. I mean, Arne Slot, what he did last season was remarkable, absolutely remarkable.
You can see some difference in his absence. So Alisson Becker's right-footed.
Yeah.
Replacement right now is left-footed, and every now and again you're seeing 2 or 3 times Liverpool players passing back, and they're passing back to his right foot, and it's those differences, that 5 to 10% of that extra awareness. So the passes aren't having the same sort of rhythmic consistency that they did last season, and I think that's affected Liverpool.
Well, I also think people outside Liverpool forget that it was his brilliance, that save from Milik. In Inter Milan, where Liverpool wouldn't even get out of the group stages.
It was the Napoli game,
because they wouldn't have got out of the group stages, would they? They ended up winning.
But even his performance against Barcelona in the semi-final, he makes 5 or 6 great saves. But there's something about him. He's like a big comfort blanket at Anfield, because when the ball's going back, there's just no nerves. And this is no slight on Mamardashvili, by the way. He's only coming in. I'm not saying anything about him. I'm just saying the impact that Alisson Becker has on this team in terms of how transformative he is. When he's back, you'll see another increase in Liverpool's form.
I just want to refer to your last line in this piece, Dom, and you mentioned it before. Does this mean Liverpool are back? No, absolutely not. Real Madrid and Manchester City await in the next 7 days, and only then will we get a gauge of where they are. It was a step, nonetheless, in the right direction. Is that going to be the litmus test now for Liverpool, these next 2 games? And if they were to come through these games, maybe with a win against Real Madrid and going to the Etihad and winning, are we then going to say, Carlo's mentioned it before, I'm not saying they're going to go out and win the league, but the main challenger for Arsenal?
You say those 2 teams want to play football. When Arne Slot is openly talking about the issue in teams playing direct, what is to stop Pep Guardiola looking at that and going, well, I'll just play direct as well?
No, I'm not being dismissive. That's just the way both of those teams operate. Guardiola's never going to. They'll play direct to Erling Haaland. That's what they do. That's one of the things they do. But naturally, Guardiola wants possession. He wants control. He wants to attack. He wants.
Naturally, Guardiola wants to win games of football, and the best way to win a game of football against Liverpool is to kick long behind the fullbacks.
Yeah.
And you've got Donnarumma, who can kick long behind the fullbacks.
Yeah.
We know Donnarumma is not the best with the ball at his feet passing short. So why wouldn't Man City just kick long?
Well, they might do, and that's their prerogative. But I just think Liverpool, the occasion and everything's at stake. There won't be anything left behind. I think it'll be a game that will suit Liverpool. Okay. Like last season, I think these 2 games are exactly what they need at this moment in time. I thought Aston Villa was the perfect game for them this weekend. That's how it turned out. I think these next 2 challenges, there's just going to be absolute focus on it for all the way through the week. But whether they win 2 or whether they lose 2, I wouldn't say what it's going to mean for the title challenges or anything like that. They've just got to get back into a rhythm. Get back into the rhythm, but could it be a reigniting of a title challenge if they? I know it's the Champions League with Real Madrid, but the confidence a victory against a team like Real Madrid can do, and then going to the Etihad on the back of a win maybe against Real Madrid. Yeah, Liverpool aren't out the title race. At this stage, do I think they're going to win the title? Probably not. But we've already seen how at the start of the season when they were 4 or 5 points ahead of Arsenal. Everyone's thinking, here we go again. It soon changed, didn't it? And I think, we'll come on to Arsenal later, won't we, and how solid they are. But Liverpool are going to get back in the top 4 and stay in the top 4. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, they've still got some amazing players, and those players that have struggled and are playing in English football for the first time, it's going to take them a bit more time, I think, but they'll be fine. Okay, time for a quick